So welcome back to, what is it, day 4, part 4 of the setting up the homestead shop. So kind of I've been working half a day or so today. I've got a good portion of the plywood up, kind of fast forwarded that because it gets a little tedious watching a guy hang plywood for more than one video in a row. So I'm gonna grab the camera, I'll show you around. What we'll be doing today is I went ahead and did one panel. It's kind of a harken back to the old days of the raised panel. It's not a true raised panel, but it has that raised panel look. It's something that I saw when we were in Scandinavia a few years ago that I always had in my mind that I always wanted to do because it's relatively easy to do, but it looks magnificent. I could not be happier with the way this is turning out. It just looks so good. The camera doesn't do it justice. So what we have is I've got 3/4 inch birch plywood. You can get that at Home Depot. Beautiful clear birch stuff. It has such a nice look on it. And what I have here for the stiles and for the little cove moldings there are hemlock. Hemlock, it's a CVG hemlock, which means clear vertical grain. There are no knots in it. Hemlock is very similar to Douglas fir, which is my favorite. CVG fir is a lot more expensive than hemlock. They grow together. They're both pretty ubiquitous in this area, and I can interchange them. The hemlock is not quite as red as the fir is, but it still has a beautiful look. And the little, along with the stiles, the little, I guess it's called a little cove molding or something. That's not really a cove. I think a cove's the other way. It's a little molding. You can see the detail there. So they fit together very nicely. So as you can see in the corner of each panel is basically that little profile. And these 1x4s. I'll bring you up close here so you can see it. There you can see the miter on a close-up detail. That little molding on there makes all the difference. I mean, they look pretty good just with the regular paneled, but that looks good. And when we put a finish on this, this is just gonna be gorgeous. I want to address a couple of questions that keep coming up in the comments. So first, a lot of people were asking, how come 3/4 inch plywood on the ceiling? Why didn't you use something thinner? Why didn't you use drywall? I don't like drywall. I don't want that in the shop. I like to be more surrounded by wood, so that wasn't really an option. And the reason why the 3/4 was twofold, well, one thing was I got a really good price on it, but I'm glad that I got it because the spacing on the floor rafters, some of them were close to almost 3 feet, 30 inches or so, 32 inches. Anything less than 3/4 would have sagged. 3/4 has enough stiffness and structure that between those rafters, because you can only screw to the rafters, you can't screw up into midair, it's not going to hold anything. So that 3/4 has enough thick rigidity, especially when I put the stiles in, that it kind of holds it all together. It seems to be just fine. The other question is, or a lot of comments about this is, why do you go to all the trouble of doing this, for just a wood shop? I mean that seems like such a waste of time. And I really don't see it that way because, I guess years ago I read a story about piano makers in Germany for the Bosendorfer pianos. I'm not a musician, I don't understand all these things, but from what I understand, they're some of, if not the finest handmade pianos in the world. And growing up in woodworking and working around people, there was always a comment in the trades, don't spend too much time on that. We're not building pianos. And so I think that comes about because I think that building pianos is probably the pinnacle of woodworking, right? Where it takes some of the, some people are going to argue, but I would say you could make the argument that building a piano of that quality, something that is the $100,000 range or greater, is the high watermark of woodworking. I really believe that. So you just go look at one. The Bosendorfer, what I read about the Bosendorfer craftsmen was that the wood shop that they work in, the owners of the company, or I don't know who did it, has surrounded those workers on all of the walls and everything around there. The whole environment that they work in, they're surrounded with things of beauty. I read that there are sculptures. I read that there are beautiful paintings, classical paintings of nudes and things. And however you feel about that, I think we can all agree that those things are pleasing to the eye. Those things are what, especially us as men and craftsmen, consider to be the pinnacle of beauty and perfection. And so the reason why they surround these craftsmen with these beautiful images is to inspire them to put that into their work. And I know that really is really true for me. If I'm working in the kitchen, for example, and the kitchen is a disaster, and there's dishes in the sink, and there's food on the floor, and all of that, it's not a very nice place to be. It's not. I don't really enjoy cooking in that environment, and it kind of translates into the end product, which is what I'm making. I believe the same thing happens with woodworking. When you're surrounded and you're working in a dim and gloomy area, and I'm not saying you have to do raised panels and all this CVG fur in your shop, but what I'm saying is that if you have an environment that you enjoy being in, and that is pleasing to you and gives you pleasure, I think, well, I know for me, I know I can only speak for myself, that beauty and that excellence goes into my work. It makes a big difference, and my whole attitude. I don't like working in a shop with stuff all over the place. Or poorly lit. It's gloomy. I don't like it. So for me, how many years am I going to enjoy this? Just was wood paneling that up here that took me a couple, 3 or 4 days. I'm going to enjoy it for the rest of my life. Every time I walk into this room, it's going to inspire me. Every time I walk into this room, you get that little. When you see something that you like, I really enjoy that. I'm glad I did that. It was kind of a pain, and it was an expense at the time, but now I can really enjoy it. And how about when you have friends over and you want to entertain, or you're it's fun to share those things, because God has given us the ability to create. He is the original creator. When you think about it, we could have had a utilitarian God that say, okay, here is a fruit tree, and here is a vegetable tree, and here is what one river looks like, and we'll have one type of flower, and we'll have one type of animal. He didn't do that. He created this multitude. I mean, how many different varieties of birds and species of birds and flowers and plants and vegetables? I mean, it's limitless. It's incredible, and that speaks to the Creator, that He's very creative, and that we are made in His image, and we are that way as well. So for me to express creativity is a joy. And to come into the wood shop and to have the ability to do these things, I'm very grateful, and I enjoy doing it, and I'm happy to do it. It's worth it to me. It is worth it to me. So enough of my ranting. Let's get on. I'll show you how to do this. This is a great thing to do. You can do this in your house. You want to do something nice? You have a living room or an area that has a big white drywall wall that you're tired of looking at. You can do this. You don't need anything special. It's very simple. I'll show you how to do it, and it just looks like $1,000,000. Let's do a quick recap of where we're at. Okay, so the plywood ceiling is all done. We got all that done there, except for the front. This will be the last thing, because I'm still figuring out what I'm going to do with that. Now, the original door, I like the door. It's actually it's really a nice paneled door with the old style latch. It's a little sticky, but we'll fix that. So that will be taken off. We'll strip it, paint it a nice color, include that. Everything's going to be in conduit. You can hear I'm kind of prepping that, and then the plywood paneling will come over this way. Okay, so over here, so we've got the birch plywood on the walls there. No nails in the field. Everything's screwed behind. I had to actually, this has been a lot of work, this wall. That's a little bit bright there, isn't it? Turn it down there. I had to go in and tear into the wall and put in studs where the plywood came together, because there was nothing to nail to. So that took some additional time, because of course nothing's on layout there. Now this wall over here, this plywood is kind of expensive at $35 a sheet, but it covers a huge area. So if you're just doing an accent wall, which a paneled wall looks so good at, you don't need that much, and it's a few $100s, but it just looks great. And if I was going to do a house, these panels are awfully big. I would probably break those up and do a 4 panel on a 4x8 sheet, 2 foot, 2 foot, 2 foot, 2 foot. That looks better, or even a 2 on the top, or 4 on the top and a 2 on the bottom. You just look online, you can see that is classy right there. Over here, the plywood will stop. And now this is just a standard AC plywood shop grade. It's sanded, it's smooth, and that will most likely be painted, and that's going to be the tool wall. So that'll be coming up here really soon, but I'm going to build this, that's what I'm thinking now, this slatted system that it's a completely modular tool storage system that you can build yourself. And so you can move things around and you can add, so you get a new tool, you can make your own hanger, you don't have to buy anything and move it around and reorganize it. And that's what we're gonna do with that. And that'll be a painted accent wall. Maybe like a British green or something like that. You know, British, well, they know green. And then that will continue on here, of course, and then we'll do a hearth and the wood stove. And then new windows or something, or used windows or something like that. We'll tie it all in, and then we'll finish up with a floor. I know some of you guys really dig the pink hexagon for mica or linoleum. I don't so much. So we'll probably put a Douglas fir floor in, just like the house. I have a friend that has a sawmill that cuts this for me right here. So I kind of am anticipating that when I'm putting in everything here. So it'll fit underneath there. Then we can do a little. It'll fit nice and tight. That looks good, doesn't it? So this is the flooring. This is locally cut and grown Douglas fir. Isn't that nice? Look at the tongue and groove. Look how sharp everything is. Kerf cut on the bottom to prevent warpage. Now, every piece that we got from my friend Blair they were just almost all perfect. So that will be most likely something like that. And then we'll also finish up with doing stiles and paneling, or doing the grid on the ceiling like that. So, and this of course also is a shop grade plywood, which is not as nice as that, but half the cost. So yeah, you can't have everything. All right, so let's get to work. I'll show you how to do a paneled wall. So where I started on this is I started on the bottom, set it up, make sure that the floor would fit underneath of it. Then I did the top here, and then I did these, I think they're called, I forget, I don't know the terminology. This may not be the best way to do it. I've never done this before. I'm not a finished carpenter by trade. So what I did was I put the bottom, top, and then the sides here. Now the key is not to get any nails in the field at all. You don't want to see any nails or screws in there. That's all to be clean there. But you do need to, you can't just nail something on the perimeter, because when you touch it, it'll move a little bit. Not so much this heavy 3/4. So what I've done here is I've marked all the studs on here, and once I knew exactly where these stiles were going to go here, I'll go ahead and put the screws in and secure that, and then this cross piece, horizontal piece here, will cover it up. So now we've got this plywood secured in the field, and we've got 2 screws here on the studs, and that is it's rock solid. So don't leave any little burrs or fuzzies or different on there, because you don't want anything to hold that horizontal piece out. Speaking of which, I have this tool here. These are back in Amazon. I've got them in the store. The Mora Carpenter's Chisel. It is. Get one. What are they, 15 bucks? Go to Wranglerstar.com. I've got them in there. They won't last long. Every time I mention them, they're gone in about 10 minutes. So get your husband one of these, or boyfriend. He'll love you forever. .44 and 5/8. That looks good. So if you want to do this in your house or your shop, you don't need a nail gun. I mean, it's super convenient if you've got a friend that you can borrow one from. You know, it might be worth it to rent a finish nailer. But you can do it by hand. The old guys did. You just used a nail set and some small little they call them casement nails. But you can do that without a nail gun. Now for the icing on the cake. These little trims are just cut on a simple 45. There's just nothing to them. I'll put the bottom in. I cut them just a tiny bit long, so that I have to kind of bow the middle to get them in there. And that way when everything's put in, it gets pushed nice and tight. This little detail is everything. It's everything. Oh, that's nice. Just finished up the south wall, and boy, it turned out nice. I couldn't be happier. You might notice that this panel here on the west side is smaller than the rest of them. Well, that really can't be helped. It was I had to stay on the studs. The layout starting from that wall started out in that wall, and 8-foot centers, and that one's going to be shorter. So don't care. That's the way it's done. It was commonly done back in the day. But isn't that nice? Man, I'm just looking through the viewfinder here. It just doesn't seem to compute. But joints all turned out really good. Isn't that beautiful? Little splice joint there. Man, that just looks pretty. I can't wait to get to a coating on it. That's going to look really, really pretty. So this is going to be your new backdrop, guys, in the wood shop. I mean, for how long have we been looking at the Christmas lights? Maybe we have to bring the Christmas lights back, hang them up there anyway. But man, I just think that looks really, really nice. Just beautiful, beautiful. I like it. All right, so we have. I'll get the east wall knocked out there. That'll be something similar. I'm kind of making it up as I go, so there's a lot of time spent thinking on how to do things, so I don't make a mistake. I think I might pull out the wood stove next video. Maybe we'll get started on this, on the tool wall, because it would be nice to kind of start getting the tools in here, and I'll give that some consideration. But yeah, looks great. Just looks great. Very, very nice. All right, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.
Nice!
What do you think?
Nice!
Hey, Heart Racer!
Hey, it's beautiful. Ooh, maybe I want to rethink my office. This looks great.
Well, I've got it. I'm pretty well practiced up now, so we could put it in your office.
It looks fantastic.
Maybe do a dark mahogany.
In my office?
Yeah. No, you want lighter? Birch?
I'm a light girl.
Yeah.
It looks great. So nice.
My favorite part.
Talk about a nice wood shop. Huh?
Oh, we got that.
Using wood in the wood shop.
Make things nice for the subscribers. They're going to be looking at it.
You know, it's nice for you to have it nice too.
It's nice for
I
everybody.
mean, we keep working in these and living in bad places, so it's nice to make it nice.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
Leaving it better than we found it.
Well, hopefully we're not leaving it.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Heart Racer approves. Do you approve? You don't care.
You're holding me. She would like to have a bed in here.
Yeah. She just usually curls up on the sawdust pile.
Or the Romex.
Or the Romex.
Oh,
Is it
he's
too tall
really
for you?
high
Is that too
things.
tall?
She did something new today.
What's that?
She ran the longest run she's ever run.
How long was that?
She did 5 miles.
5 miles. 5 miles.
The big, 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 big hill.
Is she tired? She doesn't look all that tired. Maybe she could do
That's
10.
terrier power.
Maybe she could do 10.
Cody looks great. I'm really impressed.